Hello and welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour, a podcast about the world of EVs brought to you by the team at Electrifying.com.
Well, here we are, the three amigos. Tom, your return last week was very popular. Tassie EV on the YouTube channel said, welcome back, Tom. Next week, can we see Mike? Well, there you go. Your wish is our command. I'm back. I don't know for how long, but anyway, I'm back. And you may notice, if you're watching this on YouTube, that we've got a new face with us this week. He's our newest recruit on Electrifying.com, and this will be his first podcast with us. You may have seen him on some of our recent social media posts. He's very talented, Lucas. So welcome, Lucas, to the pod.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be here. Sort of across everything around here. I've done a bit of writing, I've done a bit of social media, and hopefully I should be on some of the long form stuff sooner or later as well. So keep an eye out. But here I am for now.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the crew. It's good to have you with us. And thank you also to all the people who've been typing messages out to us. We've had so many emails since the last pod and the previous one, and loads of comments. It seems absence maybe makes the heart grow fonder with our listeners and followers, because we've been absolutely inundated. So thank you so much, but please carry on doing so. We'd love to get that feedback, good or bad. So please continue to send us messages and everything. Now, we're going to start this week, as we always do, with asking what we've all been driving. But I'm sensing already from a chat before we started recording, this section might be a bit thin this week. Tom, have you been? What have you been driving this week?
Well, yeah, I've been. Regular listeners will know that last week I announced that I have a new car, which actually bought and paid for, which is a Cupra Born. And I mean, I've only really had brand new cars before that have been company cars or test cars. And this is the first one that I've actually, my own money. And I'm wondering, do you have to run in electric cars? Do you remember, like in the old days, you had to do 1,000 miles very carefully, and then you had to take it for a service. You're talking a really long time ago, but you had to take everything gently. Do you have to do that with electric cars? I mean, I'm not going to keep it below 4,000 RPM or whatever it is. But, I'd imagine that you don't, but if there are any experts out there who know, do you have to run it? Doesn't mention anything in the manual. So maybe the tolerances are just enough that you don't have to bother. But I'm taking it easy anyway.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. They always run in press cars. I mean, I know that there's always an obsession with putting 1,000 miles on a press car before it goes out to journalists. But I think that's more to do with finding any bugs and glitches in it, rather than any kind of bedding in prep. But I mean, I'm old enough, and as you are, Tom, to remember when people used to drive around with a piece of paper taped to the back window, would say, "Please pass running in." I mean, Lucas is shaking. Lucas is laughing.
I was going to say, I've not quite. I do remember the days of having to run cars in. I mean, to be fair, if it's still internal combustion these days, you still do. But no, not quite that old with telling people to pass by. But it's you have to be quite fastidious with these things, or at least you used to be. And obviously, that first oil change is just rinsing out all of the tiny little bits of swarf that are inevitably in there from tolerances. And electric cars do have oil. I mean, some have gearboxes and motor oil still. But again, the service intervals for that are quite a bit longer than your equivalent ICE car, I guess. So no idea really. Take it easy in any case, right?
I suppose you used to have that sign on the back, because if you had a Morris Minor or an Austin 7 or something, then if you were keeping it below 4,000 RPM, it meant about walking pace, didn't it? That's why. But if you had something more powerful, it didn't really matter. 4,000 RPM in a modern BMW is probably as much as you'd want to do anyway.
I was going to say, anything turbocharged, and you're hitting peak torque like before 3,000 anyway these days. So
I think it is still a thing with, I went to test ride a motorbike the other way, a Royal Enfield, and it had 30 miles on the clock, the demonstrator. And the bloke said, well, it was a bit, clunky on the gearbox, a bit notchy and everything, but that all eases up after the first 1,000 miles. And it was like going back in time to think, well, okay. I mean, it's a great coverall, isn't it? Because if you buy the thing, you're probably going to be 6 months down the line before you've done 1,000 miles on a motorbike in winter. Then you take it back. So yeah, I don't know. It did feel it was a strange phrase that I hadn't heard for a long time. So, but I've never had that with a new car that I bought. No one's ever said take it easy. But
I once got a rental car, and they handed it over to me. There you go. It had 7 miles on the clock, and I thought, little car, you're going to be pleased you got me because I have mechanical sympathy. Somebody else who just drives it like a normal rental.
It's like they say, isn't it? Don't be gentle. It's a rental, unless it's only got 7 miles on it. In which case, please be gentle.
I just thought of the poor owner. You can imagine your gran going to buy it after. Oh, look, it's only a 6-month-old nice car. Yeah, it's been owned by some company. Yeah, and it's been hammered by somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, one owner. It's just that owner is enterprise.
Yeah. Speaking of being old, and if I'm allowed to slightly kind of go off subject of cars, I was reading in the paper last night, the newspaper, that there's a list of things that qualify you as being old, right? And I want to find out from you too, given that we've got, certainly with me and Lucas is half my age, so I'd be interested to know which of these you actually qualify for. So, right, on the list, using Microsoft Word.
Does that make you old?
Yeah, it does. This is the definition. This has been written by a young person. So,
well, it wasn't me. I'll tell you that for free. I still use Microsoft Word quite regularly.
Right. Okay. So you're old, Tom. Yeah, I know you do. 'Cause you sent me stuff in Word. Making phone calls. Do you actually make phone calls? It says nobody under 40 makes phone calls anymore. So,
I do understand the reduced rate of making phone calls, but I still like to hear a person's voice every now and again. Texting isn't the same. And granted, a lot of people send voice notes these days, which a lot of the time I despise. So yeah, phone calls. I'm old as well.
Okay. You win this one. Not understanding social media. If you say yes to this, you're out of a job. You realise that, Lucas?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Literally, your job.
Yeah, I'm in danger there. No, I get it pretty well, roughly.
Okay. Turning off a computer at night.
What?
Yeah, you didn't realise it has a plug, right? Yeah. Okay.
No. Do people not turn their computers off at night?
Of course they don't. Nobody turns their computer off at night. Do you turn your computer off at night? Are you scared it's going to catch fire?
I put my computer in hibernate overnight,
so
it's not
off. Then is it?
It's functionally off. You could unplug it, plug it in again, and it would be fine. But I also have a server which I leave on 24 hours a day. So
right, okay,
balances out.
Okay. What else is on there? Oh, emailing as well. Apparently that marks you out as old.
Is it just because there's the unemployment rate for young people is so high at the moment that none of us have to email for work?
I don't know. I didn't write the list, but I think you're older than I think you're older than perhaps
I am. I mean, we've already established my love for classic cars as well.
Turning your computer off at night and using Word. We will tell Ginny. I think you're still on your trial period. So which makes of that. Lucas, have you driven anything with a battery this week? And the 12-volt battery doesn't count. So
I have 12-volt battery. Well, to be fair, most EVs do also have 12-volt batteries in them.
Yes. Don't know.
Anyway, I have actually driven a couple of things. I haven't had any press cars in just yet, but I was down at Kia. Well, I was down at Bicester seeing some Kias.
Okay.
So I've had a go in the EV3 and the EV4. I had a quick look around the upcoming EV2, but I haven't been able to drive that on public roads yet, so I can't comment possibly on how it drives. But it was just nice getting some seat time in. I've not driven any electric Kias in the past. As a matter of fact, the number of electric cars that I have driven is quite small, and we're working on that. But the EV3 and the EV4 feel very similar because obviously they're both EGMP, it's the same platform, and functionally it's the same chassis as well. But you can tell the tuning difference between the two as far as suspension goes. I mean, the EV3 was tuned on the continent. I can't remember specifically where. I believe somewhere Eastern Europe. So it's a lot softer, and the body feels a lot less connected. Whereas the EV4 has the same suspension, but the tuning is built much better for British roads. So everything feels a lot tighter. And I wouldn't say instant, but still, you feel more in touch with the road underneath you. So that was great. But besides that, no, I've not got any press cars or anything interesting in yet. First press car comes at the end of the month, actually. That's, what is that? That's a Hyundai Ioniq 9. So I've got the barge, the double-decker almost bus. No idea where I'm going to put it, but I'm going to have a laugh in it. So I can't wait for that. Okay. But in the meantime, I've just got my little 987.2 Cayman, which Vicky likes. but I can't say that it's exactly on brand.
No.
So
We'll edit.
yes.
We'll edit that bit out. Don't worry, it's fine. We'll just. I have been driving a long termer, which Vicky and I were supposed to swap at Christmas, but didn't because we've all been busy. So I've only swapped with her last week. So I've got a Volvo EX30 cross country for just over a month, and I went on the EX30 launch years back. Feels like years back. And it was half finished. It was, it was buggy. The steering on all-wheel drive cars was terrible, but really nice on rear-wheel drive cars. It was, it felt like it needed another 6 months of testing before it should have been unleashed on the public. And it is a lot better. It's actually really nice to drive. The steering's really nice. It's an all-wheel drive one. So, does it need 460 horsepower? No, it could manage perfectly well with half that. But it's nice to have, but it generally works out. I mean, there's still the main issue is that no buttons, one big screen.
Was it that one that had the infotainment issues at launch, or was that the fourth?
Yes, it did, and they promised us that it was all entirely going to be fixed by the time the first customer got their car. And it runs. It's crashed twice on me.
The infotainment, I hope,
the infotainment system. Yeah. So and I think it's the CarPlay that's triggering it. Which is a really clunky integration, but I think it's probably been done under sufferance because it's a Google-based system, isn't it? So it's I imagine they kind of did it as if we have to. So it's slightly kind of clunky, and I dare say they'll probably blame Apple for it tripping the system at times. But it's okay. It's just really if you want to turn off the lane keep assist, it's a 2-stage lane keep assist. You can turn off the emergency one, but the other lane one is 3 menus in before you can turn that off. And as soon as you try to turn something off, it beeps at you because you're not paying attention. So you have to turn the attention thing off. But you've got no option because you've got to look at the screen to change things because there are no buttons. So it nags you one way or the other. So that's irritating. But I don't think that's an easy fix because
I think it was the fog light that got me because on the launch, I did the UK
3
launch.
menus in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said
on
that would
the
be
UK
fixed.
launch. Yeah. I was driving, came across a fog bank, tried to find the fog light, realised it was in there, nearly had an accident, and then came back and there was some poor engineer lady who was in charge of all the software and stuff, and she said, "How did you find it?" And I didn't hold back, and she looked a bit crestfallen. I just thought that was dangerous for a brand like Volvo to have. You have to go to a screen and tap 3 buttons in order to turn the fog light on, which is something that it's not like, changing the radio station where you can say, well, you should do it when you're stopped.
Yeah.
Turning the fog light on is something you have to do genuinely on the move. And you might glance down and press a button, and that's all it should be. To have to go in a foggy situation is bad.
Yeah. It desperately needs a head-up display, but I can see why they can't fit one because you've got this dirty great Harman Kardon speaker bar across the front of the car, so you can't easily integrate it into the dashboard, and that's kind of what it needs because the speed, the size of the speed font is it's not tiny, but it's not huge, and you've got to take your eye off this looking dead ahead, see what speed you're doing. It's also terrible at recognizing speed signs. I mean, the entire distance of the A34, it thought we were in a 30 zone. The entire distance, because it didn't get any other kind of clue that we weren't. So obviously it doesn't read off GPS, or if it does, it's on a very old map. I can't remember. The A34 may have been 30 miles an hour 60 years ago, but it certainly isn't. So there's some baffling kind of bits of software, but it is a way better car. I am enjoying it more than I thought I would. So looking forward to getting a few.
It's a good looking thing.
It's very nice, and cross country is lovely because you've got the black wheels, which I know you don't like, Tom, but I kind of. But they're dull colours. There's kind of grey or sort of muddy grey. Those are and I think white and black. So that's
Didn't they do that yellow sort of colour on the outside?
Yeah, in the normal one, that's gone. It's like a lot. I always think that if you buy cars and you really like colours, you have to buy them in the first 6 months before, because like the white interior on the ID.3s and ID.4s all disappeared because nobody ordered them apart from me.
It's first 6 months or 10 years later.
Yeah. So we end up with kind of plain colours that people actually buy. So there we go. Been a busy week for news, as usual, in the world of electric. Tom, what's anything caught your eye?
Well, the thing that caught my eye was the return of the Audi A2, which I remember the original one went on the original one's launch.
Wow.
And they showed, you can have a look on the website, they showed a silhouette of it kind of lit from behind. And it does appear to be kind of the shape of the old Audi A2. But I suspect that's all it'll have in common, because the original Audi A2 was very innovative, wasn't it? It was made of aluminium, very lightweight. There was one which did 3 litres per 100 kilometres, which was, sort of 98 mpg or something on that diesel engine, lost them loads of money. So although it was revolutionary and way ahead of its time, they didn't make any money on it. So I'd imagine that this one, and I'm guessing, is just going to be based on Volkswagen ID Cross and Cupra Raval style platform, and will be an electric car that's fairly conventional, in the same way that an Audi Q4 e-tron is, basically the same as an ID4 underneath, isn't it? So I think it will be a posh Volkswagen ID Cross, I'd imagine.
It's nice to see it back. I've owned an A2 and I loved it, and it was a car that was almost crying out for electric, because it always had that sandwich floor, didn't it? That it kind of was already kind of built for it. You spend any time in an A2, Lucas?
I've never actually driven one, but I've always looked on them from afar with great awe. I think they're brilliant. I mean, obviously they'll do silly miles to the gallon. They're really intelligently designed. They're alley body. I say intelligently designed to a degree, because we all know how you put screen wash in those things, and how you have to sort of remove the bonnet if you want to do any service work. But besides that, they're really great to look at, and they're really well put together. And I, for one, am a big fan of cars that look the way they do, not because they're not trying to conform to current design standards or anything like that, but just because it's fun. So it's your Fiat Multiplers, your Microlinos and Isettas, the A2, and I'll try and get this quick. I was at a classic car thing a couple of weeks ago, Southside Hustle, and Autocar brought along a Cybertruck. And they put a pull quote from me in their article, and it was just me being like, yeah, I'm glad it exists. No, I wouldn't want one. Yes, it's stupid, but I'm glad it exists just because it looks different. And the same sort of lineage applies to the A2 for me.
Okay, yeah, no, that's interesting. Tom, do you remember, was it motoring folklore? Is it something that's grown up as a secret? I mean, when Volkswagen were talking about doing the 3-litre Lupo and the 3-litre Audi A2, there's a story that did the rounds at the time, that Renault were also developing a 3-litre Clio, but they were talking about a 3-litre engine Clio.
Yeah,
but they got wind that Volkswagen were developing a 3-litre Lupo, so they thought, we've got to be ahead of them on this. So when the motor show came,
so it was the Paris Motor Show, and I was there, and I went onto the Volkswagen stand. And a chap called Wayne Bruce, who was at the time at Volkswagen, said, can you spare us a couple of hours? And I said, well, probably, yeah, I can divvy some of the stuff up. He said, right, well, come with me. And we taken to a Volkswagen Transporter, and went to a heliport, and we went from the back of the Paris Motor Show to the Saram test track, which was just outside Paris, where they had these 3-litre Lupos for us to try. And they had heard that there was this 3-litre Clio, not realising it was a mid-engine 3-litre V6. They thought it was going to be the same thing. They wanted to get ahead of it. Under the boss had said, you have to get ahead of Renault here. And we drove it around somewhat bewildered, got back in this helicopter and went back to the Paris Motor Show and went in. And I looked a bit shocked, and people were like, what? I said, I've just been to a test track in a helicopter. They're like, what? Well, we had no warning of this. I'm like, it was really bizarre.
What was the engine in the Lupo for a 3-litre?
It was the 3-cylinder.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
1.4 diesel. I mean, it's the same engine that was used in the A2 anyway. They're just the semi-automatic gearbox on it that changed up at about 1500.
Yeah. So it's 3-litre.
It's not even the same class as the Clio, is it? The Lupo is a lot smaller.
But there was just this. There was just this obsession at the time with getting cars as economical as possible, and 3 litres per 100 kilometres consumption, which worked out about 98 mpg, was this thing that they all wanted to do, and Volkswagen were there with the Lupo, but they also did it with an A2 TDI. But it was ridiculous to drive. I mean, it kind of, you imagine this diesel engine, it just go, and you'd be in like sixth gear on one of those semi-automatic gearboxes doing 15 miles an hour as it's going, what's all this about?
Like some sort of American semi-truck.
Yeah. So I'm glad that story was real, because it would have been disappointing if that was actually motoring folk.
Yeah,
anyway,
I was there. We were just thrown into this helicopter and taken to a test track to try a car.
Amazing. Speaking of Volkswagen, the news story that caught my eye this week was the fact that the ID.3 is going to get a facelift. And you're not listening to this 2 years ago. It's actually going to get its second facelift. Now, Tom, you know cars as well as I do. Can you remember another car that's had 2 facelifts in its lifespan?
Oh, there will be, won't there? There'll be things like Saabs, which have lasted so long. They're going to have had, but it is very rare.
Is that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll take that.
I mean, yeah, things like that have 10 years. 10-year lifespans they might do. And there's things, I suppose, Land Rover Defenders.
Yeah, I'm not talking about sort of model year updates, which often Mini, maybe.
Well, like
old Mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, like 60s Mini.
If we're going back that far, old Mini, yeah.
Well. No.
Anyway, it's not a quiz. So it's going to be officially revealed next month. So yes, it's the reason why it's having the same car is having a second facelift is because they're introducing some other updates to the MEB platform, so you're going to get vehicle to load for the first time, which is 5 years late. Some other bits and pieces, other bits of tech that's moving in. So you can have keyless entry, proper keyless entry, so you can open it with a phone or a watch or anything, a bit like this Volvo I'm sat in at the moment. And it's got to carry them through to the point where ID Golf is going to come, which is 2028, I believe. So there's no point building a whole new ID.3 that's going to take you through to Golf. It's too early for Golf. So it's kind of, it's two model strategies trying to meet up in the middle, really. So I think that's why. But I'm looking at the picture, it's on the site now. There's bits of it that look like the original ID.3, Tom. So I'm wondering if they kept the tooling from that first generation one.
It was ahead of its time, wasn't it?
Yeah. I hope everyone's forgotten it. And then suddenly put the bumpers back on from the first generation one. They could save, So it's an interesting thing. It doesn't look that different, I would say, from the front. But who knows? I like the ID.3. I think it's a good car, but I realise I'm in the minority with these things. But
I don't mind it. I just always preferred the Born. That was the Born just seemed a better car, a bit like the ID.4 and the Enyaq. You'd just have the Enyaq, wouldn't you? It's
do you think a lot of it is just down to the early cars having really silly infotainment stuff with sliders and all of that sort of jazz and capacitive steering wheel buttons and all of that?
Yeah, I think there's an element of truth there. My Buzz has all those haptic buttons and sliders, and nothing's backlit. So at night there's just nothing
just
there.
Fumbling.
And nothing else. Fumbling around in the dark. Yeah, I haven't done that for a few years. It is partly that, and I think buttons are going to come back on Neo as well, because it's all the sort of new design language. But so we'll see.
Oh, actually, talking of those buttons, one thing about the Born, which I'd kind of forgotten, is that it doesn't have a key that you turn or even a start-stop button. You just get out of the car and it's off, which is fine, except that my missus likes to have her music loud, so she pulls up onto the driveway and she opens the door and the music's still loud and it doesn't stop until she's got out the car. So I'm like,
what's the film with the guy standing outside with the boombox?
It is a bit like that, and she has to turn it down using the haptic buttons, which she hasn't worked out yet entirely. And of course, on those you can't just go like with a knob to turn it down quickly. You have to go stabbing at the button to get it to do it.
I have a question for any EX30 owners who use the digital key. So it's on your phone or your watch if you're using that. At the weekend, I pulled into the co-op to go and get a newspaper. My wife decided she was going to sit in the car. She doesn't need to come into the co-op with me to go and get the newspaper. So I effectively took the key with me. So as I walked away, the car locked because it's not with me. And of course, within 3 seconds, the alarm goes off because there's motion inside the car. I need my phone to be able to pay for my newspaper, but I also need the car to stay unlocked, and I haven't found a way of switching off that. You know what I mean? It just locked, and as soon as it locked, as soon as I heard the clunk of it, I thought, right, it's going to go off. And the alarm did go off.
Can we just rewind a bit there, Mike? You were talking about you can tell you're old.
Buying a newspaper.
Buying a physical newspaper made of dead trees. You went and bought a newspaper.
Yeah, that I don't do.
I buy 2 newspapers every Saturday, on the way back from Park Run. Yeah, that's what that makes me old, doesn't it? Yeah.
On the way back from Bowls, was it?
Yeah, going round and around antique, Lucas.
Hey, I like antiquing.
And I went to an old stately home. Yes, my parents do.
Garden Centre Cafe.
A nice National Trust.
Hey, Garden Centre cafes are cool too.
Well, I guess everything comes back into fashion at some point, doesn't it?
I like going to Cruise Hill from time to time.
Okay. We're rattling on. Lucas, what's caught your eye this week in the news?
Oh, that would be the new Astra, the new Vauxhall Astra. Firstly, looking at the thing, the green that they had at the launch event was absolutely gorgeous. And Tom, I know you and I discussed this as well. Those lovely Nova GSI looking wheels they've put on it too.
Yeah.
With the 3-spoke motif.
3-spoke alloys. They're always a bit controversial, aren't they? It's maybe it's just a car journalist, car geek thing, but 3-spoke alloys on that they were in the max power era, which
a little bit, yeah.
But there were big 3
star boners will take you to task for that. They weren't.
I was sort of born at the end of the max power era, so make of that what you will. But even still, the main point about that Astra launch is that they now have complete parity between all different drivetrain choices. So the electric version costs the same as the plug-in version, which costs the same as the pure internal combustion version. And I think that's great. I mean, it means you just get to make the choice based on how you drive, how far you drive, what your values are in the car, and you are not penalized for going electric or for going plug-in, which is great. I mean, I think that's sort of emblematic of the curve that a lot of new technologies follow in many different spaces, but cars do it too. In that, take EVs, for example. Early days, they're really expensive, and really, judging by where we are now, they're not that good. Whereas as time goes on, the good ones get cheaper and the cheap ones get better until eventually you meet in the middle. And that's exactly what's just happened with this Astra as well. And it's a great turning point because it means that, the choice is down to the consumer. Which actually, now I say that, it will be very interesting to see how the sales figures go between the 3 different powertrains or drivetrains, right? Because it's no longer that you have to pay the premium to go electric. So now that that's more accessible, will we see a larger market share for the EV variant of that new Astra? We'll have to see. Wait for SMMT to come out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. But it's come a long way, hasn't it? Because, I mean, you think that Corsa was always kind of like the poster boy for the price difference, wasn't it? Because he'd always say a petrol Corsa was X amount, and the electric Corsa was always it was almost like $6,000 more, wasn't it, Tom? It was.
I always remember you used to say things like, I remember a Tesla Model 3 used to be the same price as a top spec Corsa electric, and it was like, well, this is ridiculous. And you'd say to the Vauxhall people, how come it's $42,000 for a top spec? And they say, well, that's not the transaction price. It's like, well, it doesn't matter.
Yes,
if you're paying company car tax,
all this.
And now they're $27,000. They just had to have a good think about it, didn't they? And work it out. And if you look at the leasing costs, we're looking at the bargains every week, and it's always a Vauxhall that's at the lowest. And it used to be Astra Sports Tourers or something. Then Grandlands are ridiculously cheap, and now it's the Frontera. They're like 20p a week or something. But,
it's also worth considering that the Astra does also qualify for the EV car grant, so you'll get another 1,500 quid off that as well. So even cheaper, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think this parity thing is, and even the brands are starting to get proud of it now. I know Skoda always said that Elrock was on brand parity with Karoq, which is a similar size car, and Epic will be the same as Kamiq, which is a small SUV, one of their biggest sellers. So it's kind of. It is getting there, though. It's not at the point where it's just a little bit more now. It is the same. Will we see it go the other way? Will we see electric stuff become cheaper? I don't know.
Mayhaps. I mean, it's a simpler thing to put together, right? So basically, it comes down to bill of materials at this point. Like, what's it costing you? What's the difference? Will we end up cheaper? I guess only time will tell.
Indeed. And tying those two stories together beautifully, Skodas and cheap cars, Barnard's bargain this week. Tom, what have you found?
I spotted an Enyaq, which Ginny would love. It's one of her favourite cars, but and it's £364 a month, which doesn't sound particularly bargainous, but it's the 85X SportLine, which, Mike, you know these things. That's absolutely top of the shop, isn't it?
That's a 50 grand car. Yeah.
Yeah, 4x4.
Yeah.
That's
beautiful.
Nice thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable, actually, isn't it, for that?
8,000 miles a year, yeah. So, yeah,
nice.
I thought that would be quite a nice thing.
Very much so. Very much so.
Should we do some comments and questions?
I've never driven one, so I'll have to take your word for it. But it definitely
is. Well, yeah, I think it's one of the things. If you say you don't like an Enyaq in Ginny's earshot, then you might be looking for a new outlet.
Well, I'll have to get behind the wheel of one at some point, so we shall see. Well, maybe not the quickest.
It's easier than that. Just say you agree. That's the best way to do it.
Yes. Sorry.
Brilliant.
Yeah, how silly of me.
It seems great until proven otherwise, but there we go. Tom, sorry, yes, I interrupted. We've had loads of comments.
Comments and questions, from last week.
Yeah.
We have one from Ohio. So we were talking about Ohio and Buckeye, which I'd never heard of, the Buckeye, but it's a tree and a nut, apparently. Never heard? No. Have to search it out. Says, hello from Ohio. Hello, I wanted to chime in to agree with my Ohio neighbour from last week's pod. I'm very jealous of the smaller cars you guys get in Europe, especially the upcoming Ioniq 3. As a current Ioniq 5 owner, I'd love something just a little bit smaller and more efficient. Ginny, the fall here is definitely amazing. I think he means autumn, doesn't he? After your move to Ohio, make sure you grab an EV with all-wheel drive for the winters, though. Thanks for all the content. Keep up the inane banter so we keep getting the kilowatt hour. Yes, I think we're heading that way again, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are. And I'm the name off. It's from Andy Miller in Ohio. So thank you very much for messaging in, Andy. Lucas, you got anything else?
Right. My comment comes from Alistair Johnston. He said, "Great to have the podcast back. You were missed. Some of us genuinely wondered whether work had swallowed you up for good. I've been on Good Energy's EV charge tariff for the past year. A simple setup with 5 hours of cheap overnight charging that suited me perfectly. My fixed term has just ended, and I've been told that the tariff has now been withdrawn for both renewals and new customers due to the situation in the Middle East. That means I currently can't access any Good Energy tariff with a low overnight rates, which is pretty frustrating. That I can understand. And honestly, it feels like a step backwards for EV adoption. Have you heard of any other suppliers doing the same? It seems like the wrong signal at the time when we should be encouraging people to switch." Now, this did fly around the office as a topic earlier this week, didn't it? And it seems that there's quite a lot of it going on at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, so I wanted to switch. I mentioned this last week that I wanted to switch to Optimus Intelligent Go because my Cupra is compatible with it, and discovered that it would actually cost me more because the overnight rate had gone up to 8p. I had to lock myself in for 12 months, and the daytime rate, which I use slightly more during the day still, was 37p a kilowatt hour rather than the 30p I'm currently paying. So I asked Octopus, and they said, well, yeah, there'll be news soon. And then I looked at all the other suppliers because I do a tariff update on the website. And there were two who had withdrawn their products completely. So Energy and Ecotricity had just said, no more electric tariffs from us for a while. And they said, we're trying to find something and there will be some news soon. But as of today, Octopus has said, right, well, we're going to cut the rate from April the 1st to, for me, 5.5p a kilowatt hour. And Mike, I believe somebody else in the office, Helen, said that she's been offered 4.9. I heard of somebody else who's got 3.4p per kilowatt hour is what they've got in an email.
So they've gone down.
They've gone down, but the daytime rate and I think the standing charge have gone up a bit. So I need to do a spreadsheet to see how it'll affect me. But I did speak to Octopus Customer Services today, and the guy said, I think that's only for existing customers, not old customers. I said, that's not what it says on your website. And he said, oh, I'll call you back, which he hasn't done yet. but
Really busy changing the website for you.
Yeah.
There seemed to be an awful lot of confusion. But I was worried, and it seemed for about a week it was going to be that we were going to be in real shtuck because it was going to be expensive. But it seems that things are going to get cheaper for people who can charge at home and overnight by some margin. So don't change your tariff yet, because I think it's all just about to change quite a lot. I suppose they want to get people going overnight rather than during the day when there's still some capacity. But I certainly didn't expect it to go down by 3p a kilowatt hour in the current situation.
Astonishing.
And I wonder how all the other companies are going to react.
I was going to say, these things are constantly evolving, aren't they? And the rate at which things are changing both here and overseas, especially at the moment, it means these things are really unpredictable.
Yeah, well, that's the Octopus make you sign up for 12 months. And you think, well, I suppose in the moment you'll take whatever you can get as long as it's cheap. But, God, I mean, it is changing all the time, isn't it? It's, and signing up for 12 months seems almost a little bit risky, but perhaps it's not. I don't know.
Not at that rate. I can't see it going a lot lower than that. But,
no, well, if it's going to be 35p a kilowatt during the day and 5.5p or less at night, I'm going to do night shifts. I think that's the only way I'm going to cook all our food overnight.
Nocturnal.
Yes,
cook all your dinners at night. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That makes sense too. Tom, I gather we've got some people who are new to the EV world that have messaged us from last week.
So Hasbury says, I just bought my first EV, a Renault 4. The comfort and quiet are unbelievable. I'll never go back to internal combustion. And Pat Regal said, this month I drove my first EV after seeing your Volvo EX30 versus Kia EV3 test. I've ordered the Kia EV3 long range. It was marvellous, so much better than my Toyota Auris hybrid. Keep doing your great car tests.
Oh, that's nice to hear, isn't it?
That's nice.
Okay, so this is in comments in relation to sort of policy mandates and the big picture about going electric, which we discussed last week. At Mr. Claw UK says, I don't think we should let the market decide when we switch to EVs. We didn't let the market decide for seatbelts, emissions or drink driving. If this transition is necessary, give manufacturers a clear roadmap and stick to it. And on the other side of it, the electric transition, which is the handle on YouTube, says people underestimate how slow this transition is. Even with mandates, internal combustion engine cars will still be around in 30 years. It's a gradual shift, not a sudden change. And finally, sort of at Pfeiffer, Chris says, Norway is at 97% EV sales. What did they do right? And why can't we replicate it? Instead, we're watering things down. Well, the Norway thing's really interesting, isn't it? Because they packed in, they decided that they weren't going to use any of their own oil and they were just going to sell it. And the money they got in for it, they built into this sovereign fund, which is worth trillions of euros now, isn't it? And that money helped them build the infrastructure for EVs, which is incredible. But it means they dabble in oil in as much as they sell it, but they don't use it themselves. But I don't think that will ever work here.
And I think
to do it.
They've got lots of geothermal.
They've got lots of hydro as well, haven't they, for electricity generation? So it's kind of a slightly
cheap
unique,
electricity.
Yeah, and a tiny population.
R. Williams 218 says, my Kia EV3 GT line has 6,750 miles and is averaging 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour. 160 mile round trip at 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour. Charged overnight at 8.5p. Total costs £3.10. That's the real world EV story.
Nice.
Dempsek said, we just ordered an Enyaq. Switching to an EV tariff, it actually cost me £100 more per year. The standing charge is the killer. Well, I'm not sure how that would work, because in every there's an article on the website about, I only do low mileage. Is it still worth me going onto an EV tariff? And I did the sums, and it almost always makes sense, unless you're doing like 4 miles a year or something, to switch to an EV tariff. So I'd be interested to know the numbers, because the standing charge and the on peak costs are higher. But if you're driving a car more than 5,000-ish miles a year, I'm sure it makes quite a lot of sense to switch. So I don't know. Maybe Dempsec, send me your figures and I'll run them through my spreadsheet. James BB70 says, still using a granny charger after 18 months. Works fine, just slow. Install costs and non-standard extras are the real barrier. Yeah, there's a chap in the village with a Nissan Leaf who does about 20 miles a day. He just uses a granny charger. Said it's not worth his investment.
I've got a neighbour with an i3 does the same. Just runs a power socket out, and then 6 years they've been doing that. No problems at all. So you don't need one, but if you're using your car regularly and you need that kind of overnight, sort of empty to full.
I was going to say, it goes back to what we were talking about with consumer choice, right? It depends how you drive. If you're just going around the town, if you just pop into the shops, getting a Cornetto every day, then you're fine.
Which is what we're all doing. We're all popping to the shops to get a Cornetto every day. But I know what you mean. But it's and a grand,
the right reference.
A grand is a chunk of money. You outlaid for a car, that'll probably clear you out. The insurance will clear you out, and then you think you've got to spend another £1,000 to get it. I can see why people stagger their purchases and just think, well, I'll do that now, or they do the charger first and then leave it 6 months and then get the car. But it is an outlay, and we all know from having had chargers fitted, those of us who have, it isn't always straightforward. It is in most cases, but there's usually more kind of shenanigans and faffing around than you perhaps might think there will be. Running a cable from the fuse box to the thing, it generally is more complicated than that. It can be a bit of pain, but nothing wrong with a granny charger as long as your electrics are all, you're not plugging it into a spur of a spur of a spur and a 20-year-old extension cable, then you're fine. So there's no problem with
that. I think Pilot Woo 3824 goes from a discussion we were having last week. It says range doesn't solve the no home charging problem. Cost does. A bigger battery doesn't make public charging cheaper.
Yeah,
I get his point, but if you have a 500-mile range, I think you have a lot more choice about where you want to plug in. So if you're not desperately going from charger to charger or thinking I need to charge at this one and otherwise I'm going to be knackered, you might be able to charge at a Tesla point where it's 30p a kilowatt hour rather than at one on the motorway where it's 95p a kilowatt hour. I think that's where it comes up. Or you can make it to your destination and charge one of those Ubertricity lamppost ones where it's 40p. That's the choice you're being given.
It's the same sort of philosophy as it has always been with petrol cars, right? I mean, you can fill up whenever you want, but we're not always going to stop at Shell and pay £1, God help us all, per litre when you can wait a while and maybe go to Costco, which has saved my bacon a few times, and get it 10p under. It's the same sort of story. If you've got more flexibility and you can pick where you charge.
True.
Andrew Inverness says, I want an EV, but without home charging, I need a real 300 plus mile range and affordable price. Not quite there yet. Unless you buy a used one, in which case quite a lot of
it will change, I'm absolutely sure. Gentlemen, I think we must leave it at that point. We're already up to 3/4 of an hour. We don't want people complaining that we've been waffling on for too long. If you're still with us, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. If you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms, please do give us a review and give us a score if you feel so inclined. This pod is also hosted on YouTube, which if you're watching on this on YouTube, we might wonder why we're saying it, but yes, we enjoy your comments on YouTube as well. So if you really want to see what we look like, just visit the electrifying.com channel on YouTube and you'll see. And please leave us comments. We'd love to hear from you. So that's it for this week. We will see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.